I'm Brett.
And I'm Justin.
And we're with Full Spectrum Environmental. We're licensed mold assessors with the state of Florida. And today we're here to address the question, is it black mold? So oftentimes when we're in the field conducting an air quality inspection or a mold test, the client will ask us, is it black mold? And it's a very hard question to unpack just because almost all molds are black. Color is a horrible indicator of whether or not it is black mold, which when people refer to black mold or you Google toxic black mold, typically what is being referred to is Stachybotrys charum, which is a specific type of mold that has the potential to produce mycotoxins and toxic effects. It can affect humans, it can affect pets, and Stachybotrys can be found indoors on water-damaged building material. It likes drywall, it likes baseboards, but just because a baseboard is turning black and you think it's mold does not mean that it's black mold. Justin, from your experience as an inspector and being in the field, how would you answer that question?
Yeah, a lot of time in the field, when I see mold, it's usually black. A lot of times online, people say it's easy to classify between blue, green, gray mold, but they all fall around the darker colors. So on the field, when I'm looking at mold, they're all in the darker shade. And as a professional mold assessor, we learn that it's best not to just jump to conclusion. And someone who's living in their home that sees mold that's black, they shouldn't jump into the conclusion that it's black mold either. It's always best to take a sample, usually do a tape lift or a swab, or take an air sample of the mold, and we'll send it out to a lab. And they look under a microscope, kind of one that we have on this table, and they'll look at the spores and be able to tell out the different characteristics between the types of mold and classify if it's black mold or not. Typically in the house, we look at how long the mold's been growing, what type of material it's growing on, but just going back to saying that even though it's black color, doesn't mean that's necessarily black mold.
So to reiterate what Justin's saying is that when we're in the field, we can use certain clues like relative humidity, how much water content using a moisture meter a certain type of building material has, and based on that, we can kind of get an idea of, is it cladosporium, is it eutomium, is it aspergillus, is it growing on clothing? We can have a good educated guess, but even us as mold assessors who are professionals and have been doing this for years, still send every single mold sample to a microbiology lab where they analyze it, like Justin said, under a microscope, typically at 600x, and they look at the spore, they look at the shape, the characteristics, and they determine if it actually is Stachybotrys. That is the only way to actually determine if mold is black mold. And in another video, we can go into aspergillus and eutomium. I'm sure you're asked all the time too. Are other molds toxic? What is aspergillus like? It's been a pleasure explaining to you black mold. This is Brett.
And I'm Justin.
And we're with Full Spectrum Environmental.